Effective immediately, HR downstairs. 5 words. That's all Stephanie Clark said before she dropped the termination notice on my desk and walked out. No handshake, no explanation. Just a piece of paper that would detonate a $340 million merger in exactly 72 hours. She had no idea what she'd just done. I'm Roy Henderson. I'm 48 years old, and I just got fired from Patriot Defense Systems, the company I'd given 26 years of my life to. I looked down at the notice. Expensive cream paper, the kind they use when they want to make something look official. My name at the top, the date and time stamped across the middle. I checked my watch. It was exactly noon on a Monday. My $14,500 performance bonus was scheduled to hit my account Thursday at noon, 72 hours from now. Stephanie thought she was being clever, cut me loose before payday, save the company money. What she didn't know was that bonus wasn't just money. It was a tripwire connected to the one thing holding her merger together. Here's what you need to understand. That $145,000 was tied to a clause written 12 years ago by the company founder, Colonel Wade Thompson. Wade was a retired Marine, the kind of man who believed your word meant something. And loyalty went both ways. When he wrote that clause into my contract, he made sure nobody could ever strip away what we'd built together. The clause was simple. Once that bonus paid full ownership of our core defense protocol, the Fortress system would automatically transfer to me, not symbolically, legally. And without that system, Patriot had nothing to offer Titan Defense Corporation. Stephanie had just armed a bomb she didn't know existed. I signed the termination notice without a word. My hand didn't shake. I stood up, grabbed my coat, and headed for the elevator. HR was waiting in the lobby like they were escorting a criminal. I nodded and kept walking. On my desk, I'd left a small black USB drive. I saw Stephanie glance at it as I passed her office. She probably thought it was my backup, proof she'd secured everything she needed. That drive was empty. Had been for years. Every real backup, every line of code for the Fortress system was locked behind biometric encryption only I could access. I got in my truck and drove home. The city looked normal, people going about their Monday. Nobody knew that in 72 hours, the biggest defense merger of the year would collapse. And it would all trace back to 5 words in an office. When I walked through the front door, Rachel was in the kitchen. She took one look at my face and set down her coffee. Roy, what happened? I got fired. What happened? Stephanie walked into my office at noon and handed me a termination notice. Effective immediately. Rachel's been my wife for 24 years. She's seen me through 8 years in the Air Force, through all-nighters when systems crashed, through crises that would have broken other marriages. But this was different. Ashley's a senior in college. Brett's a junior. We've got tuition payments and a mortgage. Why would she do that? Because she's trying to cut me out before my bonus pays. She thinks she's saving $145,000. I sat down at the kitchen table. The weight of it all was starting to hit me, and the clause, Rachel asked quietly, she just triggered it. In 72 hours, I'll own the Fortress system, not Patriot. Me? Rachel pulled out the chair across from me. What about the merger? Dead without it. She was quiet for a moment. I could see her mind working, calculating what this meant for us. Then she said something I wasn't ready for. Roy, you've given them 26 years. What about us? What about Ashley and Brett? What about your health? That knee's been bothering you since the surgery. That hit harder than the termination. 3 months ago, my doctor told me my blood pressure was too high. He said I needed to cut stress, lose weight, maybe think about early retirement. I'd promised Rachel we'd go to Montana for a month when this merger closed. Just us. A lake, and no phones. I know what I promised. Do you? Because you've been talking about taking it easier for 2 years, and you're still there every weekend. This is different. How? I thought about Wade Thompson, about the conversations we'd had over bourbon, about the trust he'd placed in me, because Wade trusted me to protect what we built, and Stephanie just tried to destroy it because she didn't bother reading the contract she's supposed to be managing. Rachel studied my face. She wasn't angry, just tired. Then finish it. But when this is over, we're going to Montana. No arguments. Deal. I went upstairs to my home office and powered up my workstation. A countdown clock appeared on screen, red numbers ticking down. 71 hours, 58 minutes, 42 seconds. Let me tell you about Wade Thompson. I met him 26 years ago when I was 22, fresh out of my Air Force contractor work. Patriot was nothing back then, just a warehouse full of engineers trying to build cybersecurity for military contracts. Wade saw something in me that first day. Maybe it was the discipline from my service. Maybe it was that we both believed the same thing. If you're going to build something, build it right and protect the people who help you do it. Over the years, I became the guy they called when everything was on fire. In 2020, when a ransomware attack hit the Eastern power grid, I was the one who stayed up 72 hours straight rebuilding our protocols from bare metal. The entire Eastern seaboard could have gone dark. We stopped it with 6 minutes to spare. When the Pentagon needed quantum-resistant encryption for SCADA networks that controlled nuclear facilities, I designed the system. When our biggest client demanded zero-day patches in 48 hours, I delivered in 36. I didn't do it for awards. I did it because that's what you do when you're part of something that matters. 12 years ago, Wade asked me to meet him at a steakhouse in Arlington. It was a Thursday night, both of us exhausted from a week of crisis management. Over bourbon, he told me he'd written something into my contract that nobody else knew about. "Roy," he said, "I've been in this business long enough to see what happens when the wrong people take control. They gut everything that made a place worth a damn. I won't let that happen to what we built." He explained the clause. My annual bonus wasn't just compensation. It was a legal trigger. Once paid, the intellectual property rights for the Fortress system would transfer to me automatically. The transfer agreement was already executed, held in escrow, waiting for that payment confirmation from Patriot's payroll system. "You'll own it," Wade said. "Nobody can steal it, sell it to the wrong buyer, or run it into the ground." I remember setting down my glass. "Wade, that's your life's work." "No, it's our life's work, and I trust you to protect it more than I trust any board of directors." At the time, I thought he was being paranoid, but Wade had survived 2 tours in Vietnam. He knew how to see threats before they materialized. Now, sitting at my desk watching that countdown, I understood. Wade had seen this coming 12 years before it happened. He'd built a fail-safe, and Stephanie had just activated it. I checked my security protocols. Credentials valid, encryption keys untouched, no unauthorized access attempts. Stephanie and her IT team hadn't even tried to breach the system. They thought that empty USB drive was enough. Then I set up one more thing. An automated email scheduled to send if the licensing rights weren't renewed before the timer hit 0. The recipients, 3 lawyers at Titan Defense Corporation. The message was direct. As of Thursday, $12 noon, Patriot Defense Systems will no longer hold valid licensing rights to the Fortress Protocol Central to the Titan integration. Please review Section 14 of the merger agreement. Section 14, the key personnel continuity clause. It listed 3 people as essential to the merger integration. I was first on that list. If any of us left before completion, Titan had the right to delay, renegotiate, or walk away. Stephanie had never read it. I'd bet my pension on that. The email would send automatically. No button to push, no dramatic moment, just a quiet notification that would tear apart everything she'd been bragging about for 6 months. I went back downstairs. Rachel had dinner on the table. We ate in silence, both of us thinking about what came next. Afterward, I sat on the porch with my bourbon and watched the sun set over the neighborhood. My phone rang twice, unknown numbers. I let them go to voicemail. There'd be time for conversations later. Right now, the clock was ticking, and Stephanie Clark had no idea the ground was crumbling underneath her feet. The next morning came too early. I woke up before sunrise. Rachel was still asleep. I went downstairs, made coffee, and checked my phone. 3 missed calls, all from numbers I didn't recognize. 2 voicemails, I deleted them without listening. The countdown on my computer read 59 hours, 12 minutes, 7 seconds. I was halfway through my coffee when my phone rang again. This time, it was a reporter from a financial news outlet. The email came through first, polite, but direct. She'd heard rumors about personnel changes at Patriot related to the Titan merger. Did I have any comment? I wrote back one line. Ask them about Section 14, that's all it took. Section 14 was buried in the merger agreement, the key personnel continuity clause. 3 names listed as essential. Mine was first. Stephanie had signed it 6 months ago without reading the fine print. Now, a reporter was about to start asking questions that would make Titan's lawyers very uncomfortable. I went for a walk around the neighborhood. The morning air was cold, the streets mostly empty. My knee was stiff from the old injury, but it felt good to move. I needed to clear my head. By the time I got home, my inbox had a new message. Diana Walsh, lead counsel for Titan Defense Corporation. She wanted to talk. I called her back. Mr. Henderson, thank you for taking my call. We've had some questions raised about the merger agreement, specifically Section 14. We were hoping you could provide clarity. I kept my voice level. Section 14 is your key personnel continuity clause. You should have the original agreement on file. Yes, we do. But there's ambiguity about the licensing rights if certain personnel are no longer with Patriot during integration. No ambiguity, I said. The language is explicit. Without my role, the licensing rights for the Fortress system don't remain with Patriot. Silence on the other end. Then, would you confirm whether those rights are currently in force? The licensing certificate was last validated while I was employed. My status changed yesterday. If you want confirmation beyond that, ask Patriot for the current certificate. She let out a breath. Understood. Thank you for your time. 10 minutes later, my inbox exploded. Someone at Titan had forwarded an internal email chain to the wrong distribution list, and my address got caught in it. The entire conversation was there. Deanna had sent an urgent request to Patriot's legal team demanding immediate proof of ownership for the Fortress system. Her email was direct. As per Section 14, the absence of Roy Henderson from Patriot employment raises substantial risk to licensing validity. Provide current certification showing active uncontested ownership. The forwarded chain also showed that Craig Stevens, one of Patriot's board directors, was now copied. Craig was the pragmatic one, the guy who actually read contracts. He'd be asking questions Stephanie couldn't answer. I closed my laptop and didn't forward the email anywhere. The less I moved, the more they'd scramble that afternoon. My phone rang. It was Glenn Brooks, one of our senior engineers. I'd been training Glenn for 3 years, teaching him not just the technical work, but how to think like an architect. He was 32, smart and loyal in a way that's rare these days. Mr. Henderson, I wanted you to know something. What's that? Stephanie called me into her office this morning. She offered me VP of Engineering, $200,000 salary. Said I could start Monday. I waited. I told her, I don't work for titles. I work for people who earn respect. Then I walked out. Something in my chest loosened. You didn't have to do that, Glenn. Yeah, I did. You taught me integrity matters more than money. I'm not forgetting that because she's waving a bigger check. I appreciate it. One more thing. She asked me where you kept the Fortress backups. I told her I didn't know. She had IT trying to access your old workstation. They won't find anything. That's what I figured. Just wanted you to know she's panicking. After we hung up, I sat back and thought about what Glenn had said. Stephanie was scrambling, trying every angle she could think of, but it was too late. The clause was already in motion. Rachel came into the office with a sandwich. You need to eat. I'm fine. Roy, you look exhausted. When's the last time you slept properly? I slept last night. For 4 hours. I heard you get up. She set the plate down and sat in the chair across from my desk. This isn't just about the merger, is it? I looked at her. What do you mean? You're carrying something. You have been for years. It's not just about protecting Wade's legacy. It's about proving you were right to give them 26 years. She wasn't wrong. Part of me needed Stephanie to understand what she'd thrown away. Not for revenge, for validation, to know that all those nights, all those weekends, all those times I chose work over family dinners actually meant something. Maybe, I said. Rachel squeezed my shoulder. Finish it. Then we're going to Montana, and you're going to let this go. That evening, the news broke. Patriot Defense Systems stock dropped 15%. The financial networks ran alerts, unconfirmed risk in Titan merger. Key licensing question raises investor concerns. Patriot declines comment. I watched it unfold on my phone. Inside Patriot headquarters, it would be chaos. Emergency board meetings, lawyers scrambling, Stephanie trying to explain how this happened while her father, Dennis Clark, demanded answers. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. We need you back, but not under Stephanie. That was Craig Stevens. I recognized the phrasing. He'd been in enough meetings with me to know my value, but I didn't respond, not yet. Some offers are worth making them ask twice. Another news alert came through. Titan Defense Corporation declines to reaffirm merger timeline. That was the shot across the bow. It told investors the deal might not close. It told Patriot's board they'd lost control of the situation. And it told Stephanie that the clock I'd set was ticking louder than anything she could do to stop it. I checked the countdown. 47 hours, 33 minutes, 18 seconds. The call came at 9:47 Wednesday morning. Stephanie's number flashed on my screen. I let it ring 3 times before answering. Roy Henderson, where the hell have you been? Titan's legal team called me. They said they spoke to you. What did you tell them? Her voice was sharp, barely controlled. Good morning to you too. Don't. They're acting like there's a problem with Section 14. What did you say? Have you read the contract? Silence. The kind that stretches too long. I've reviewed the key sections, she said finally. I'd recommend reading all of it, especially the parts your legal team didn't flag. Roy, this isn't a game. They want proof of ownership for the Fortress system. We can't find the certificate. Which system are you checking? The legal vault, the contract archive. I almost smiled. That's interesting. Last time I checked, the licensing certificate was in a separate vault, one with restricted access. The vault you controlled? I glanced at my monitor. The countdown read 26 hours, 13 minutes, 51 seconds. Roy, just tell me where it is. That would require me to still work for the company. I heard her moving, shoes clicking fast against hard floors. If we can't produce that certificate, the merger. She stopped herself. If you can't produce it, I said quietly, Titan will invoke the delay clause. 9 months minimum, maybe longer. And during that time, they'll decide whether this deal is worth salvaging. Damn it, Roy, the shout cracked. This is my reputation on the line. Yes, it is. Neither of us spoke. Then she tried again, voice softer. Look, if we work something out, if I talk to the board about reinstating you, I'm not coming back, Stephanie, but read your contract. All of it. I ended the call. Rachel walked in a minute later. That was her. Yeah, how'd it go? About like you'd expect. An hour later, the market opened and Patriot stock dropped another 8%. Total decline, 23% in 2 days. The news coverage intensified. Financial analysts were downgrading the stock from hold to sell. One analyst used the phrase catastrophic due diligence failure. Another called it executive negligence at the highest level. My phone lit up with notifications. Someone had leaked audio from a Patriot board meeting. I clicked the link. The recording was muffled, but clear enough. Craig Stevens' voice. Stephanie, walk me through this. You terminated Henderson 72 hours before his bonus payment. The same bonus tied to the IP transfer clause. Did you read that section of his contract? I was told the bonus was standard compensation. Told by who? Because legal flagged this clause 12 years ago when Wade wrote it. It's in the files. Dennis Clark, Stephanie's father. We'll fix this. We'll offer Henderson whatever he wants. Craig, he won't take it. I already reached out. He's not interested in coming back. Dennis, then we'll sue. Breach of contract, theft of intellectual property. Craig, on what grounds? The transfer clause is legal. Wade and Henderson structured it as a personal consulting agreement separate from standard employment terms. It's airtight. The recording cut off. I sat back, letting it sink in. The board was fracturing. Stephanie's credibility was gone, and Dennis was realizing his daughter had just destroyed the biggest deal of his career. That afternoon, another bombshell hit. Titan Defense Corporation released a statement. Due to unresolved contractual concerns, Titan is suspending merger negotiations with Patriot Defense Systems pending further review. Not terminated, suspended. That was worse. It meant they were keeping the door open while they explored other options. And I knew exactly what option they were exploring. An hour later, my phone rang. Lance Morrison, CEO of Titan Defense Corporation. Mr. Henderson, I wanted to inform you personally. We're suspending the Patriot merger. I saw the statement. There's another reason I'm calling. My legal team reviewed your background. 26 years at Patriot, primary architect on every major DoD contract they've won. The Fortress system success is clearly tied to you, not the company. I waited. We drafted an alternative proposal yesterday. A direct partnership between Titan and you personally, if you're interested. I looked at the countdown. 14 hours, 8 minutes, 22 seconds. I'd need to review the terms. I'll send it within the hour. Mr. Henderson, I'll be direct. We need someone we can trust. That's you, not Patriot. After we hung up, I sat there for a long moment. It was really happening, not just the merger collapse, but everything after. A new path forward, one where I controlled the terms. My phone buzzed. An email from Morrison. Subject: Partnership Proposal Mamenchison Defense Solutions. I opened it. The terms were generous. 3-year consulting contract, $15 million total compensation, equity stake in the Fortress deployment, complete creative control over technical decisions, part-time work, remote when possible. It was everything I'd wanted and never asked for. I forwarded it to my attorney with a note. Review this. I think we have a deal. His response came back in 5 minutes. This is excellent. Better than anything Patriot ever offered you. Let's move forward. Thursday morning arrived cold and clear. I made coffee and sat on the porch watching the neighborhood wake up. My phone was off. I didn't need distractions for what came next. At 11:55 a.m., I went upstairs and opened my laptop. The countdown read 4 minutes, 38 seconds. Rachel stood in the doorway watching. "You sure about this?" she asked. "Yeah, I'm sure." The numbers ticked down. 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute. At exactly noon, the screen flashed. Transfer complete. No alarms, no fanfare, just a simple notification and a PDF that appeared on screen. I opened it. The licensing certificate for the Fortress protocol. Updated automatically. Owner, Roy Henderson. 26 years of work, now mine. I downloaded the file, saved it in 3 separate encrypted locations, and sent a 1-line email to my attorney. It's done. His response came back immediately. "Congratulations. Nobody can touch it now." Rachel came over and looked at the screen. "That's it. That's it." She wrapped her arms around me from behind. "How does it feel? Honestly? Like Wade knew this day would come." An hour later, I turned my phone back on. 43 missed calls. 67 text messages. My voicemail was full. The news had already broken. Titan Defense Corporation announces exclusive partnership with Henderson Defense Solutions. One of the texts was from Glenn. "Sir, I saw the news. Does this mean what I think it means?" I called him back. "It means I'm starting a consulting firm and I'm bringing you on as technical director if you're interested." "Absolutely. When do we start?" 30 days. "I've got to take my wife to Montana first." "You earned it, sir." The financial networks were running the story all day. Patriot stock was in freefall, down 31% total. Analysts were calling it one of the worst merger collapses in defense industry history. That evening, my phone rang one more time. It was Craig Stevens. "Roy, I won't take much of your time. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. We should have protected you better. Wade would have been ashamed of how this went down. Wade built the protection I needed 12 years ago. He knew what could happen. He was smarter than all of us." Craig paused. "For what it's worth, Stephanie's no longer with the company." The board asked for her resignation this morning. "What about Dennis?" "He's staying on, but his authority's been limited. The board's implementing oversight on all major personnel decisions." After we hung up, Rachel asked, "Any regrets about leaving?"
No?
"About Stephanie? I thought about that. She's young, she'll learn from this. Maybe it'll make her a better leader somewhere else. You're being generous. Wade always said the best revenge is building something better." We spent the weekend quietly. I ignored most of the calls, answered a few emails, and started sketching out what Henderson Defense Solutions would look like. Glenn and I talked twice about bringing on 2 other engineers from Patriot. People I trusted who deserved better than what that company had become. On Monday, I signed the partnership agreement with Titan. The contract was everything Morrison had promised. 3 years, part-time consulting, complete control over technical decisions. Tuesday morning, Rachel and I loaded up the truck and headed west toward Montana. We'd rented a cabin on a lake, no cell service, nothing but water and trees and silence. The drive took 2 days. Somewhere in Wyoming, my phone finally stopped buzzing. The news cycle had moved on. Patriot was someone else's problem now. When we got to the cabin, I stood on the dock and looked out at the water. The sun was setting, turning everything gold. Rachel came up beside me. "You did it," she said. "We did it. I couldn't have made it through without you." "So what now?" "Now I go fishing. I stop checking my phone every 5 minutes. I remember what it's like to just exist without a crisis hanging over my head." Rachel smiled. "And in 30 days? In 30 days, I go back, train Glenn and the team, build something new with people who actually earned their seats at the table. Then in 3 years, I'm done for good. I'm holding you to that." 2 weeks into Montana, my phone rang. Pentagon area code. "Mr. Henderson, we have a situation. Critical infrastructure breach we need. I'll have my team contact you. Glenn Brooks will handle it. But sir, we specifically requested." "Glenn's good." "Better than good?" Trust him. I hung up and went back to the porch where my granddaughter was trying to tie a fishing knot. She was 8, all focus and determination. I showed her how to loop it properly, the same way Wade had shown me years ago. Grandpa, did you really used to work for the government? Sort of. I built systems that kept important things safe. Are you going to do it again? I thought about that for a minute. I'm going to teach other people how to do it, and then I'm going to retire and take you fishing more often. She grinned. Deal. That night, Rachel and I sat on the dock watching stars. The kind of stars you can only see when you're far from cities and obligations and 26 years of carrying other people's weight. Wade would be proud of you, Rachel said. Yeah, I think he would. 72 hours. That's all it took to change everything. Stephanie thought she was cutting costs. What she did was hand me my future and prove that competence, loyalty, and doing the work actually matters. I'm 48 years old. I've got 3 years of consulting left, then I'm done. And somewhere in Virginia, there's a boardroom learning the hard way that some people can't be replaced. Not because they're irreplaceable, but because they earned it. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't what you do to someone, it's what you build after they tear you down, proving that their worst decision became your greatest opportunity. In the end, loyalty and competence always find their true value, even when the people who should recognize it are too blind to see what they're throwing away.